Final update. Dad moves in, soon-to-be bride gets pregnant, and she demands I leave the house because she needs my room. I tell her, lady, I own the house. Silence. Ian showed up the next morning with donuts and a shit-eating grin, asking how they took their eviction notices. Like you'd expect, I told him. Lots of crying, threats, and disbelief that actions have consequences. Your dad too? He asked. My dad's having an existential crisis about owing me 200 grand in back rent. Beautiful, he said. Justice is a dish best served with legal paperwork. The next month was magnificent to watch. Dad tried everything, lawyer consultations he couldn't afford to fight it, emotional manipulation about being my father and this being our family home, and even attempted bribes about signing the house over to me officially and calling it even. News flash, I already own the house. Signing it over to me would be like giving me my own birthday present. Jennifer went full scorched earth. She called my university to complain about my unstable home environment, called the police to report a domestic disturbance when I asked her to move her car, even tried to call CPS on herself, claiming I was creating an unsafe environment for children, which backfired when they pointed out that maybe she shouldn't have her kids living somewhere she felt unsafe. Finding housing for an unemployed pregnant woman, her 2 kids, a 52-year-old man with mediocre credit, and potentially a grandmother, all on Dad's construction salary, turned out to be harder than they thought. Week 4, Dad suggested maybe they could work out some kind of arrangement. He could pay me rent to stay. Market rate. They could. Make it official. I said no. He started to argue, but I cut him off. Nope. He'd had the chance to treat me with respect and have a conversation like adults. Instead, he tried to force me out of my own house. Actions have consequences. But I'm your father, he said. Yeah, and you're also the guy who tried to evict me from my own property to make room for your girlfriend's mother. Father of the Year material right there. That's when the real fireworks started. Jennifer filed a complaint claiming I was evicting her because of her pregnancy status. The hearing was beautiful. Jennifer had to explain that she was Dad's girlfriend, had been living there 6 months, had no lease, and paid 0 rent. Then I got to tell the judge how they tried to force me out of my own house and convert my bedroom into a nursery without my permission. The judge basically told her, you can't claim pregnancy discrimination when you're being evicted for trying to illegally evict the actual property owner. Case dismissed. But wait, the real bomb came during week 5, and you're not going to believe what happened. I was at Ian's place when Dad called, and his voice sounded weird. Shaky. We need to talk, he said. About what? You've got 3 days left to move out. About the baby. Something in his tone made me pay attention. What about it? Can you come home? I need to show you something. I found Dad sitting at the kitchen table with a stack of papers in front of him. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in the past month. He slid a paper across the table, paternity test results. The baby isn't mine, he said quietly. I stared at the paper. What do you mean? Jennifer had been lying this whole time. How did he find out? She'd wanted him to sign up for better health insurance at work to cover the pregnancy. The insurance company required blood work for pre-existing conditions. They ran some genetic screening panels. Turns out he couldn't be the father. Wrong blood type. So, whose baby was it? Her ex-husband's. Apparently, they were still sleeping together when she started dating Dad. The whole thing was a setup. Where was she now? Upstairs. He'd confronted her this morning. She tried to claim the test was wrong, that maybe it was a mix-up at the lab. Then she tried to say it didn't matter because he'd be a better father than her ex anyway. When that didn't work, she said he was abandoning her and the baby and how could he be so cruel to throw out a pregnant woman. He told her she had until tonight to get out or he'd call the police and report her for fraud. She called him a heartless bastard and said this was all my fault for being a selfish little shit who couldn't handle having a real family. I almost laughed, even caught red-handed lying about paternity, she was still blaming me. So, what happens now? I asked. Dad was quiet for a long time. I screwed up bad. I chose a woman I barely knew over my own son. I tried to kick you out of your own house for someone who was lying to me from day one. Yeah, you did. I know you probably hate me right now, and you have every right to, but I'm hoping maybe we could work something out. I don't have anywhere to go and I know I don't deserve any help from you, but... No. The word hung in the air between us. You made your choice. You chose her over me. You tried to force me out of my own house. You called me ungrateful and disrespectful for not wanting to be homeless. You don't get to come crawling back now that your gold digger girlfriend turned out to be exactly what everyone except you could see she was. But I'm your father. Yeah. And I'm your son. Didn't stop you from trying to evict me. Dad looked down at the paternity test results and said he knew he messed up. He knew he didn't deserve forgiveness, but he was asking anyway. I told Dad he really wanted to know what I thought. He nodded. I think you're a 52-year-old man who got manipulated by a 30-year-old con artist because you were thinking with your dick instead of your brain. I think you were so desperate to feel young and needed that you ignored every red flag she threw up. And I think when push came to shove, you chose her over your own son. He flinched like I'd slapped him. And now that it's all blown up in your face, you want me to forget that you tried to steal my inheritance and kick me out of my own house. He started to say it wasn't like that, but I cut him off. It was exactly like that. You just got caught. Dad was quiet for a long time. So what happens now? He asked. Now you move out as we agreed. That night, Jennifer left. No big scene, no dramatic goodbye. Just packed her stuff and disappeared with her kids. Dad moved out 2 days later. Rented a 1-bedroom apartment across town and took only his personal stuff. Left behind all the furniture he'd bought, all the improvements he'd made, everything he'd invested in the house that was never his. Ian came over the day after Dad left, bringing drinks and pizza. He asked, "You'll ever forgive him?" "Maybe, but not today. And not because he got caught being an idiot." "Fair enough," he said. "So, what's the plan now?" "Finish school. Enjoy living in my own house without anyone trying to steal it. Maybe get a dog." "Sounds like a plan." 3 months later, Dad started calling, apologizing, asking how I was doing, wondering if we could grab lunch or maybe he could stop by to pick up some tools he'd left behind. I let the calls go to voicemail. 6 months later, he showed up at the house unannounced, looking like he'd lost weight and wasn't sleeping well. "I know you don't want to see me," he said when I opened the door. "But I needed to try. I miss you. I miss us. You should have thought about that before you tried to kick me out. I know I screwed up. I know I don't deserve another chance, but I'm asking anyway." I looked at him standing on my porch, smaller, somehow older, broken down. "You made your decision when it mattered," I told him. "Now I'm making mine." I closed the door. The house stayed mine. Dad stayed gone. And sometimes that's exactly how it should be.